And we've been doing a little bit of research, and it's such a fascinating topic.
Yeah, he's got some topics with UFOs and as well.
Near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences.
And which is great because we haven't really dealt a whole lot with that topic. We haven't had a lot of callers, or I won't say we haven't had interest, but it just hasn't popped up, I guess, into our realm of what we've been dealing with. But it's so fascinating.
I absolutely have a personal fascination with near-death experiences. Obviously, we love UFOs. Out-of-body experiences, something that is kind of foreign to some of us. But, I mean, even talking last week about the old hag, that there are elements of...
Yeah, of an out-of-body experience.
Yeah, kind of, somewhat.
Yeah.
So...
and, I was doing a lot of reading today. Sorry to cut you off, Jenna,
okay.
but I was doing a lot of reading, and I really got into, like, the physiological elements of it, and I just want to really get back to like the experiences and talking about it and reading about it more than the physiological like changes that occurs like in different parts of the brain, and we're all nurses, the three of us, so we know about the brain, and but I think I just want to get more into the meat of it, like.
Absolutely. Well, and Eugene has had a personal experience with a near-death experience himself when he was 15, so that is very exciting.
So let's get him to call, and
we're going to call him, are we?
I don't know. We're going to call him. He's going to call us. Something's going to happen, and we're going to listen to him.
All right, now we're just giving Eugene a call. Let's hope this goes smoothly. Let's hope the gremlins are not with us tonight.
Oh Lordy.
Oops. Hello, Eugene. Are you there? Oops. Sorry. Eugene, are you there?
Hello? Eugene?
Oh, you know what? Maybe we're going to try taking this out. Let's just try that. Eugene, can you hear me now? Oh, we're going to try that once more. Everybody will have to be patient tonight because... Here we go.
Where is he located? He's in Philadelphia.
He is from Philadelphia.
Here we go. I think we're going to have a little more luck now. And we'll try this. Oops. Hello, Eugene. Now we did a test a few minutes ago and it was perfect. So, you know what? I think we're going to see if Eugene can actually call us because we can't hear him right now.
We'll just keep trying.
Yeah, no, we'll keep trying.
We're not going to give up on this.
We did have luck about 5 minutes ago, so I'm just going to send
him around again.
Yeah, sorry, everybody is going to have to be patient with us, but it will be worth it.
We'll just have a little chat. Shadow, did you do anything extra special today?
Did some more Christmas shopping.
Oh, Christmas. Yeah. I wonder are there any callers and listeners out there that might have some Christmas stories about...
Janet, we're not going to give up.
We just had a text from somebody who knows Eugene and told us they don't want us to give up. Let's see now. We're going to try number 3.
Hello, Eugene. See, it's sort of like we're communicating through the ether, through the wild cosmic space.
And I think maybe next time we'll learn our lesson and just put them on hold for a minute rather than say call back.
Yes. Hello, Eugene, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. No,
Great.
What I'm going to try to do is hook you into our auxiliary line and see if we can hear you through our other way. So just hold on there 1 second and see if we can still hear you. Can you hear us now? Can you hear him?
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Welcome, Eugene.
Oh, my gosh. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Oh,
Perfect.
okay. The gremlins are not with us tonight.
Welcome
Thank
to
you.
Newfoundland, Canada.
Wonderful. So you made it all the way from Philadelphia. What's the weather like there? Is it snowy and cold?
It's cold, but dry. It's about 30 degrees.
What?
Oh, no, that's Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Whoa. Okay, Fahrenheit, not Celsius. Like, what?
Yeah,
I need to move there.
What is the temperature up there? I know it's freezing for you guys.
I think it's -6. I think it's -6.
Yeah, Celsius.
And then again, that's Celsius, yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. So welcome,
That's too much
Eugene.
for me, yeah.
It is
It's
cold.
too much for us too, Eugene.
I really like the cold, so it's good. It's good here. I like it, but you know.
So Eugene, we're dying to hear your stories and your experiences, and
Why don't you start us off with a little bio? Tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind.
Okay, can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah,
Perfect.
Okay, yeah, it started out me having some childhood psychic experiences at about age 6.
wow.
Started out with dreams, out of bodies, lucid dreams, sleep disorders, and other things. And so this would continue for 10 years until I was 16. So I got to know the dreams, out of bodies, and lucid dreams very, very well. And after a few years, maybe 5 or 6, then outside experiences started happening in real life, not so much inner experiences like with dreams and stuff. They started happening outside when I was awake.
Ooh.
So did that scare
And-
you as a child? Like, were you afraid?
It did. It did.
Yeah.
'Cause, at age 9, I asked God to show me all those invisible world things. And if he did, I would always tell people about him. And then at age 11, a lot of stuff started happening.
Wow.
But I was able to get used to it eventually.
Okay, so with the lucid dreaming, that's a fascination of mine. So when you were younger, you were consciously aware that you were dreaming, and you were able to move about in a conscious way and decide what you wanted to do in the dream realm?
Yes, that's exactly it.
Okay. So what, were you in a different world, or was it a familiar place, or was it scary, or was it a happy place that you often found yourself?
A lot of times it would depend on the mood or the thinking of the person before they went to sleep.
Okay.
But once you realize that this is a dream, because you notice something that's not normal, like the hands moving on a clock or a
Right.
newspaper, the words just moving around, you notice something that's not normal.
Oh, wow.
And then you, once you realize it's a dream, you kind of super awake, where your levels of consciousness increase. You're as awake as you would be awake
Right.
compared to your dreaming.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when you realize that you're asleep, then you more vividly wake up,
Huh. That's
and
amazing.
then you can do anything in that world that you want, that dream world.
Amazing.
Wow. So that was before you were 11? So that's young. That is very young.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
were any of your UFO experiences early on?
I'm sorry. Yes. When I was must have been about between 5 and 7, we had bunk beds, me and my brother.
Right.
I saw what looked like, and I was on the top. It looked like an alien looking down on me as I slept. Like he had somehow crawled up the back of the bunk bed, where the wood is, and he looked down on me. That was the first memory.
Oh my gosh.
And have you guys heard of Barney and Betty Hill?
Yes, very familiar with that case.
Okay, they were close friends of my parents. So
Eugene.
yeah,
Are you
Barney
serious?
was from Philly. Yeah,
Are you
Barney was from Philadelphia.
Oh,
We got
my
to see them
gosh.
and meet them a lot, and we stayed over their house in the 60s.
Wow.
Eugene,
And,
that's like
yes.
that's as close to like a Hollywood movie star as like that is amazing. Oh, you're so lucky.
We thought it was cool, and now they're like icons now.
Oh,
and,
definitely.
So your dad was friends with Barney? Barney Hill? The Barney Hill?
Yeah. Yeah, he was a really nice guy.
Well, I've read the books, I've watched the movie, and I mean, it seems like poor Barney really, the whole experience was devastating. I mean, Betty lived on for many years after Barney passed away, but do you think that his experience just traumatized him?
Well, he had stopped smoking in like his early 40s, mid 40s, maybe
Right.
around 43, 44. And then sometimes a person may stop smoking and then go out and exert themselves, lift weights or lift snow like he did.
Right.
And the arteries weren't fully open yet, and he had a stroke.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So do you think that movie's accurate, the portrayal of after they had that regression with
James Earl
Hypnotic.
Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very close.
Okay.
And they also have the original audio online, and they were really freaked out by that incident.
Well,
And
yeah, I can't blame them. I don't think I would want to hear that myself. I had no memories of it. Oh my gosh.
have
well,
you had any?
have
you had it? You guys had any UFO experience?
Yeah, I have personally, definitely, and I'm from Saskatchewan actually, and Jackie definitely has had an experience, and that's one area that we are fascinated with.
Eugene, I'm sorry, Jenna. Did you experience anything else with UFOs, like aliens or anything? Because you said that was your first experience. Did this continue on throughout your life?
Yes. I can remember as a kid struggling, being pinned down. Felt like I was being operated on, and on my legs I have 2 huge scars. That I had verified with Dr. David Jacobs, the world authority in UFOs.
Oh, yes.
He worked at Temple University where I worked.
Okay.
So I showed him, and they're long, you can stretch them, and there's no kind of stitching
Right.
that can make the design that they have. So when I was about 12, my dad asked me where I got them from. I said they've always been there. So, but as a young kid, I can remember struggling with them knocking me out, them holding me down, those kind of like abduction things. And
Oh, that sounds.
I didn't like that at all. I was on like
no.
13 or 14.
No, and that's difficult stuff to talk about too. It's not, and half of that is probably just it's not the ordinary, normal thing to talk about
Well, it's trauma.
generally. So, the other part of your book that we're fascinated with is your near-death experience. You said that happened when you were 15?
Yes, I was 15.
So what was the context? If you would mind sharing that, that would be great.
Okay. I was a good athlete in school.
Mm-hmm.
I even was on the water polo and swimming team, so I could really swim well.
Okay.
And in Ohio, they have a lot of lakes and waterfalls and where we can swim. We used to swim in a waterfall during a flash flood. That's how good we were.
Wow.
We would go up through this place and swim. So I jumped off this dock during a picnic, a church picnic, in fact, and went down feet first and got stuck in the muck and up to the knee, and I could not get out. I used all my strength and could not get out. Took in at least a trash can full of that lake water, and then slowly died at the bottom of that lake. And it was the person's like perception of time slows down when they're dying, and the heartbeat also slows down. Everything slows down, the thinking, the awareness, and it starts to get, the person is actually starting to get ready for that dream type of sleep consciousness which comes on. So the person will be pulled into a slow death sleep, and their organs will begin to fail one by one. You can feel them. There is, like they said, for about half of the time before I died, there was a pain and shivering cold from the waters of the cold lake down there. And when I fell down, a blanket of muck came up and then resettled on me. So I had like a shivering, freezing blanket on me. And suddenly, all the pain stopped, all of it, and I felt warm and actually cozy. And I had given up the struggle for life and death and just watched. I was paralyzed, too. That came on. So I was paralyzed. I could see and I could hear, but I couldn't move at all. So I waited on my side, hoping a friend would come down, see me, and pull me up, but no one ever did. And then I was pulled into like a vacuum-like tunnel. There really is no actual near-death tunnel, but people, when they leave their body, it feels like a tunnel.
Right.
And so what was happening, and it's the same thing that happens during dreams and out-of-bodies, when I died, I heard a large boom, and my eyes and heart went out at the same time. So about 20 seconds after that, I regained consciousness after death. I was floating about 15 feet above my body. Once I saw what had happened, I remembered that I had just died, but I was actually alive again. Wow. So I was shocked but happy.
Right.
And then it goes on and on and on. There were about 11 levels or stages that I went through to the top. I remembered everything.
Wow.
The scientists heard about this in the mid-97 and asked me to come and work on the near-death with them. And I did, and by 2002, about 5 years later, we felt that we had come very, very close to solving it. And there's no other research like that in the world, because this guy was the world authority. And it went beyond his understanding. So I had to go to the second world authority, who is now the first world authority, a female, Dr. P.M.H. Atwater. She died 3 times, so she was able to understand it better, and I finished it up with her.
That's remarkable. I'm familiar with her work. She is amazing.
She's deep, yes.
Yeah.
She's considered one of the 5 smartest people in the world, they say, on the planet.
What? You're kidding. So then you're involved with the International Association Near Death Studies, that organization?
Yes, they're the ones who asked me to help them.
To
join.
Yeah, for our listeners, IONS is something that you can look up on, just Google IONS. We can post a link, and there are countless accounts of near-death experiences, different scenarios. You can look it up any way you want. People die in different situations in their accounts. So, Eugene, is yours on the IONS group site or the website?
I've done some interviews with their radio network, yes.
Okay.
As far as formally joining the organization, I kind of stayed with Dr. Grayson and P.M.H. Atwater.
Okay.
And, yeah. And it took 5 years. No one else has. We're so far ahead of any other near-death research because we have the exact details. We have the levels of consciousness.
Right.
We have every stage of the near-death. We have every change in the physiology of the invisible spirit body after death. The white light's origins and effects, there's nothing like that out there in the world. And it's been that way for 20 years now.
It's amazing. Is there any sort of connection or similarity with the Tibetan Book of Dying? Is there a lot of similarity? Because I know, like in that book, it really concisely sort of lays out the stages of death.
I've looked into it in the past, and some of it seemed kind of muddled and confused. We wanted something that in normal 8th grade words we could explain to the people exactly what was happening.
Right.
In clear English, and I think with the book that we have, I've looked into them, and we'll look again. But it's just time. I didn't see anything that deeply impressed me. I'll have to look again. But sometimes it's best not to check out another view because it can color your own view of your research.
I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. But it is interesting to kind of see how there are some universal principles across cultures and around the world that just seem to, beyond all of the different cultural lenses, there are just fundamental principles that are the same for all human beings experiencing this always. So that
definitely, yes.
Yeah, that is absolutely amazing. That is a conference I would love to go and hear all of those amazing speakers that are often touring around with their IONS conferences. So
Eugene, I just got a quick question here. You, when you mentioned that you were going through a tunnel, some of the readings that I've been doing is that some researchers have actually kind of equated it to coming out of the birth canal. I don't know if you've come across that in your research or.
I've heard of that, and it is like that. The person there's a gravitational pull.
Yes.
It's the same kind of pull that a person has when they have an out-of-body. And there's a guy named Sullivan Muldoon. He was a Scottish-American in the 1920s who was perfect. In fact, he's the best, I think, of all time. And out-of-body. He explains it fully. I checked him out when I was in my 20s, and he knew exactly what I knew, and I hadn't seen anyone who came close to him. So I studied him, and he was right about so many things. But it is like the birth canal thing, where And that feeling of being pulled or sucked or gravitized in is actually the spirit body coming out of the physical.
Huh.
And it takes about 15 to 22 seconds for the person's spirit body to come out of the physical at death and then regain consciousness after death. It does happen. There is life after death.
Oh, there's no doubt.
So would you describe it as a heavenly experience, like being a Christian myself?
There was a divine, heavenly, super spiritual aspect to it. It was, it's a world where you, instead of speaking, you think and observe and feel. In fact, the feeling might be the most important facet, because a lot of times the eyes can be deceived by visual illusions according to your feelings or thoughts. But the feelings, they're pretty true. And if a person knows when something freaks them out or if something makes them feel safe, you know. So the feelings is the best way to go. If you use the feelings with the visual, then you can get a pretty clear spiritual.
Yeah.
How beautiful. Do you think there's more knowledge, or do people know more about this? Is this still kind of on the periphery, kind of the fringe culturally, do you think? Or do you think...
Do you mean
near-death experiences,
or
people talking about near-death experiences?
People have heard about them, and they know they exist, and with the help of like the emergency room doctors, people understand that people do come back from the death, and they come back with these stories that you ask them the same thing 20 years later, and they have the exact same details.
Absolutely.
And the stories are so detailed that no one could make that up. You'd have to be some kind of Shakespeare.
It's true.
And,
and especially a lot of the people with, legitimate medical backgrounds too. Like, I'm sure you've read Dr. Eben Alexander's book.
I have, yes.
And Dr. Mary Neal, is that her name? And I mean, I've read countless books on near-death experiences, and especially Dr. Eben Alexander's. And for our listeners, this is a neurosurgeon down in the States who was not a believer in these events. In fact, I think he even spoke about patients that he had dealt with before he had his own experience, that he just sort of brushed them off as people just having drug-induced hallucinations. But this neurosurgeon ends up with bacterial meningitis and dies himself. And it's pretty much the picture of perfect, like physiologically you couldn't have more complete brain death than having your brain in basically a bunch of pus. Like, your head is infected, your brain tissue, the meninges, everything, your nervous tissue is infected, and the likelihood of him returning back without brain damage or any kind of long-term neurological issues was just impossible. But yet he comes back with the most miraculous set of experiences, and he's transformed. Now he's like just a transformed man. I mean, I've listened, there's lots of talks on YouTube, and you can tell when people have had an authentic experience, that genuineness comes through when you're listening to them. And when I listen to you, I can absolutely hear that genuine connection to something that is virtually impossible to describe, but it's like you said, we try to use adjectives and describe stuff, but it's hard. There are often not words to describe these otherworldly experiences just through, human language, but it's difficult.
It is.
Eugene, in your research of near-death experiences, have you noticed any differences? Have you studied adults versus children? Have there been any differences in what happens to them, or is that something that you've looked into?
Oh, yes. Yeah, when you work with those world authorities, you got to know all of that stuff, forward and backwards. Yeah, the children have different near-death experiences because they don't have those preconceived lessons and notions about what's real and what's possible. So the kids have a different kind of near-death, that they don't have those blockers on them.
Okay.
And the kids seem to go pretty far as it's easy. It's better too to have it at a younger age because then you are more used to it.
Right.
And the doctors actually look for childhood experiences who have had near deaths.
Well, it's like that movie Heaven is for Real. That was based on a true story of a young boy.
Yes. There were a few stories that were actually fake. I don't.
Oh,
think that
I know.
was the one,
I know
but
that you're. I know what you're talking about. I read that book and found out after that it was yes.
Yeah.
What guy was that?
There was a guy who was working with his son. I think the guy was some kind of pastor.
Yes. Yeah.
But it turned out that it wasn't true.
It was a car accident and it was all made up.
I don't remember don't remember what happened, but the boy first confessed.
Yeah.
And then the dad came out and admitted it.
That's so.
Also, there was a near-death researcher to show you how competitive this field is, but it's nothing compared to the UFO field. Near-death researcher waterboarded his own 2 daughters to try to extract data, near-death research data from them after their near death.
We have a phone call coming in, Eugene. Just 1 second now. Welcome to Paranormal Newfoundland. You're on the air.
Oh, thank you. I have been listening. I find this totally so interesting, and the conversation has just fascinated me here. I just have a quick question for Eugene, if that's possible.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Do people who have experienced near-death experiences have a greater or lesser fear of dying? Or is that something that he's looked at?
Do you hear that, Eugene?
Eugene, did you hear that?
I did not hear the question. No,
okay, so our question is asking whether or not people who have had near-death experiences are more or less afraid of dying.
Oh, a lot less. They're not afraid at all. It's once you experience a death and you know what's happening, that knowledge helps.
Right.
Then you're not afraid. You know you're going to be all right.
So do you have that?
Now,
you have that. Just you're not afraid of death.
No way. Before it, yes, but now, no. Because I know that won't be the end.
Okay, sorry, we've got the call. We've got another caller. It might be the same one. Paranormal Newfoundland, you're on the air.
I'm so sorry, but I got cut off.
Sorry about that. Yes, go ahead. Did you have another? Now, Eugene cannot hear you, so you'll have to give me the question, and I'll carry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I'm just wondering, is there one common theme that seems to fit a near-death experience? Like, is it a white light? Is it a feeling? I'm just wondering if there's something that he's found in his research that there's one common denominator.
Okay, I will pass that along to Eugene. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
So, Eugene, our caller was wondering if there is one common theme that you have found in your research with near-death experiences. Is there sort of a universal theme or is it unique to and different for each individual?
No, there's definitely some universal themes. One would be that there is life after death. There is one God.
Right.
And there is a fair but very easy judgment, where if you believe in God, that's his only thing that he asks.
Well, that's beautiful to know.
It is. It is.
Also, this is also a theme, too, that, and it's a quote in the book, from the book, that upon attainment of the highest spiritual heights, we find that love and the desire to love assures us at last of happiness under the sun. And that's true.
Amen. Isn't that true?
Yes, definitely. Nice.
I find that very peaceful. I find reading all of this literature to be, it just reconfirms my own feelings, and it's so nice to hear other people's experiences just kind of confirm all of that. It's it must be nice to have that knowledge, because most people don't have near-death experiences, but from what I've read, it seems like the people who do, I mean, they know, they have the knowing, they don't have to believe.
So, Eugene, how did you get rescued from drowning?
That's a good question.
Good question, yeah.
Almost everyone asks that. A lot of times, like there was a pilot whose plane was crashing into the ocean. He was going to get smashed. And as it went down, he felt some kind of hand pulling him out of the cockpit. where he could open his parachute. And with me, I was at the bottom, just like when you have a fish on the boat and he's on the deck of the boat,
Yeah.
and you put him back in the pail. He wakes up and is still alive. So it was like that. Something reanimated my life force, and then something just either pulled or pushed me up out of the water. And once free, I swam to the top and choked out.
So it wasn't
much
one
water.
person that came down and you were just released.
Whew.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just released.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Now, I was talking to a nurse who works out of the province, and she was telling us a story about a patient that was going through surgery, and she left her body and was up looking from the top of the room, and she was looking at this long mark on one of the lights shining down over top of the operating table. She saw her body, and then she went back into her body, and after she was recovered, she was able to say, I left my body, and she described it very clearly. You don't have to believe me, but you go up there, you can see what's on the top of this light. I was staring at it. And of course they did, and it was
there.
It was right there. And I think that I don't know, that kind of confirmation is hard to deny, and most people who have closed minds will find some way to discount it, but for most people who are reasonable, I mean, you just have to accept it. But those are my favorite stories, like the tennis shoe out on the balcony or the edge of that hospital.
Yes, the red shoe.
The red shoe.
Yeah.
Now, have you heard that story, Jackie?
I did hear it.
Yeah. So for our listeners, there's one. It didn't happen when did that happen, Eugene? Is this kind of a recent event?
I would say probably between 85 and 95.
Okay. And my understanding was that this woman was in the hospital, and she had a similar experience where she left her body and left the hospital and floated up over top of the hospital and witnessed this red tennis shoe that was on some precarious ledge that was not accessible to the public. And when she came back in, she was able to confirm this out-of-body experience, and I guess some staff, after hearing her outlandish story, they were able to go out somehow, and they did find that shoe. So, and there's no way she could have accessed that ledge. So I don't know how people would deny that. I really don't. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It is amazing.
So
And,
now, do you think
yes.
that you had any other out-of-body experiences that you're aware of, or is that the only one?
The near-death. And before I start, I do have to say hi to a fellow nurse, Janet. She's the one who actually kind of introduced me to you guys. And
Wonderful.
Great.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you very
she's a good
much.
listener.
That's wonderful. Well, yeah, thank you for putting you in touch with us.
Eugene, I have another
And,
question. Sorry.
Okay.
No,
We're just so excited.
so
we can't-
excited. Can't
Just see
control
our
ourselves.
faces. We're all
We're just
There
glowing
were a lot of out-of-bodies, and the near-death is a spiritual out-of-body, so I was
Nice.
used to that. I had about 12,000 in my lifetime out-of-bodies. I'd have like 6 a night.
wow.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Wow.
So many that I got used to it,
Oh,
and then was able to control it to a fair degree.
right.
Oh, great.
Oh, so when you come back into your body, is it uncomfortable? Is it like getting into like an old wet bathing suit?
It depends how you come back.
That's quite a description there.
That's what I'm
That
just
is-
like, you think of some tight old wet something. Like, I've heard that it's not pleasant coming back into your physical body.
If you stay out too long during an astral body, it can leave like a 3-minute headache when you get back. But if you have have you guys ever had dreams where you're falling or
Yes.
falling or flying?
Yes.
A lot of times, the dream of falling or flying is a cover for you coming out of your body and then going back in.
Ooh, that's
if you're
interesting.
waking up, yes. I had so many. I used to have a dream where I'd be standing on this block of like a trapeze, way up high in the mountains. I have some pictures on it on my pages.
Okay.
And of course I would fall, or else if I kept my balance, the thing would disappear. And so I had so many of these repeating falling dreams that one time I was falling, I said, this is that same dream, so I'm not going to even worry. And when I slowed down my fear, I started floating. And I said, maybe I can fly. And when I said fly, I started flying. And I got so excited that I woke up. But it shows that when you're in those states, you can consciously control what you do. It's like a thought actuation thing, especially in that out-of-body or dream world.
So
Lucid dream.
What you're saying is that if you have the right coaching, essentially, it's like training a muscle. Like if I go into the gym every day and I have a coach, you know, you can get big, strong muscles. Is it the same, essentially? Can anyone train themselves to be a lucid dreamer or have out-of-body experiences or like the astral projection stuff? Is this something that anyone can do?
Yeah, some people have it naturally, like females are better than men.
Right.
But anyone can learn to lucid dream, to have an out-of-body, to control the out-of-body, yes.
Wow. So how would people
a lot of it is...
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, a lot of it is the desire. A lot of times when you want something bad enough and you know exactly what you want, it comes to you.
Right.
So the desire is a big part of it, too.
I think some people might hesitate just thinking that maybe there are unsavory spiritual things out there that, you know, maybe you're more vulnerable. I mean, have you experienced anything evil or negative when you're out?
I did actually once when I was in out of body, but way more during the dreams and the sleep paralysis, which some of you guys must have had sleep paralysis.
Well, we were just talking last week about the old hag, which is a phenomenon here in Newfoundland that has a long history, which is called sleep paralysis, I guess, in some ways, but people don't believe that it's just physiological paralysis, far more than that. Have you heard of the old hag?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sleep, like with an out-of-body, or usually when we go to sleep. See, when we go to sleep, it's not the sleep that recharges us. It's the spirit body that comes out of the physical and then recharges in the electromagnetic atmosphere that is the air. The Indians call it prana, and that Sylvan Muldoon spoke about it back in the 20s. And he's right. So the spirit body comes out and recharges in the air.
Beautiful.
And that spirit body is actual or dual side that will be us when we die or have an out-of-body. An out-of-body is like a mini death, except that silver cord kind of connects you.
What if you have a lot of darkness in your dreams? What if your dreams tend to be confused and dark, lots of nightmares? Is that what you have to look forward to?
A lot depends on the person's state of mind and what's happening with them in that day, in that year of their lives. It's good to, and in dreams, if you can face your fears, like whenever something's chasing you in a dream, if you slow down, I notice this, and other people have said, if you slow down, then the monster starts to slow down. And when you turn and face him, a lot of times it'll disappear.
Do you believe those dark monsters are elements of ourselves?
In dreams, yes.
Yeah.
But also, there's a lot of different kind of dreams, like future dreams,
right.
Repeating dreams. But a lot of times, in nightmares and stuff, I think that's an element of ourselves or a signal or a warning sign, something that we should pay attention to.
So do you believe
any kind of dream?
Do you believe our deceased loved ones can visit us in dreams?
Yeah, in fact, you said it exactly right. I believe that we can experience the presence of our loved ones in an altered state or through dreams. And there's a quote in the book that says, dream vision, the things we see in our sleep, is the primary method by which human beings communicate with the Creator. And dreams are also that doorway to all the other out-of-bodies, lucid dreams, and more. And once you have one, even in a dream, you can have a highly spiritual dream that will bring on other psychic experiences. Once you have one, it starts to snowball, and you become occurrence-prone. where
Right.
you have back-to-back experiences.
Oh, you're giving me goosies now.
Yeah, no, it's very true.
Yeah.
That's all very, very true. So what is your belief with, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, Eugene, have you had any experiences with shared near-death experiences? I was reading today about a daughter who was sitting with her dying mom, and her mom, the daughter assumed that her mother was having this experience because all of a sudden she felt she was with her mother in a field greeting her past loved ones. Have you had any?
Yes,
Yeah.
I've heard of shared near deaths, and I believe in them. And especially with the mother-daughter bond, that would be super close. And then they're both females, and the mother was getting near that crossing over point, and there was a lot of empathy and emotion there. And I definitely believe that could happen.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's interesting. All of those. See, dreams are the actual pathway, and if people can get into their dreams, a lot of people can't even remember their dreams, but it's the ones that we do remember that are even more important. But a good practice is to, when you go to sleep, do about at least 8 slow, deep breathings. That will help your dream recall and your memory recall. Also, it'll make you more awake. It'll rise your levels of consciousness so that you'll be able to see the dream clearly. And you'll retain, when you remember the dream, it'll be in a single stream of a consciously remembered event instead of bits and pieces or blurry, half-seen images. So the breathings make you super clear to recall and see the dream more accurately. And and it's free. All you got to do is do the slow, deep breathing.
Yeah, price is right.
Yeah.
So people can train themselves with just intention to remember dreams too, just going to sleep and intending to remember them in the morning.
Yeah, if you tell yourself, I want to remember my dreams from now on,
Right.
and you got to do the breathing. See, a lot of times people think, well, if I focus or if I sit this way or do this yoga position, then I'll attain. But really, and they always, the yogis and masters and mystics and saints, they mention the breathings, but I don't know if they mention them fully enough to the people. But it's the air power
Right.
that makes the person more psychic. And the more air, just like you see the Darth Vader in that Star Wars, how
Right.
deeply he breathed.
Right.
Also, there was a scene in an early Star Trek movie where the Wrath of Khan, where he was doing the deep breathings. So that I saw as a teen that increased me in sports heavily, but I didn't know that it also super increased me with the psychic things. And the more I did the breathings, the more psychic things kept happening,
Interesting.
which I didn't want, but it was because of the breathings that made them happen. So if people do those breathings, go ahead.
Okay. So,
Everything else will come out.
So you're saying like 8 deep breaths.
Do 8. 16 is supposed to be a heavy number, and I've done them.
Right.
But to start out with, do 8 fully good ones. And if you do them right, 3 of them will knock you out.
Okay. Have you ever heard of Wim Hof?
No,
Okay, Wim Hof is a Dutch researcher, and he has, no, not many people have, but he is, he holds all kinds of very strange world records for cold water immersion, and he has this whole breathing method, which is kind of reminiscent of like pranayama with like in the yogic tradition, where you are intentionally hyperventilating to super oxygenate your blood, and he said that he has done all of this amazing stuff. Like, I think he's hiked like high elevation mountains in the Himalayas in bare feet and shorts and like very, very cold temperatures. And he believes that it has to do with this deep breathing technique. Yeah, he's a very interesting guy, and he goes swimming in icy, freezing lakes, and there's a lot of science behind it too. So I totally believe that that breathing techniques can induce all kinds of benefits.
Eugene, we just had a question emailed in to us. The question is, do you have a choice about returning to human life after, with a near-death experience?
Good question.
Just like a lot of others, if I had my choice, I would definitely stay.
Yeah.
And in heaven.
Oh, who wouldn't? I've heard lots and lots of accounts. I listen to podcasts constantly about near-death experiences, and it's I don't know. Do you think it's half and half? Because there are a lot of, it seems like mostly women who want to return home to their children. But it seems like, what do you think? Do you think it's half and half when people are given the option? Some people are not. They're told you're not finished your job on Earth. You have to go back. Even if people are pleading to stay,
Yes.
they are forced to go back. But other people, it seems like they're given the option. Like they have.
So
somehow.
were you, Eugene? Were you given the option, or?
I was sent back to take care of someone important, and I knew that was my son, who's doing well now.
Oh, that's
Really?
beautiful.
Yeah, I was a single dad, and it was just me and him.
Well, that's an important job. That's probably one of the most
is.
important jobs on this planet. So I think, whoever is looking after all of us, they probably know best. But we must have some strong instincts, too, I think, as parents.
Keep the faith.
Yeah.
There's some interesting. Is there, or was there another question?
Yeah, we just had another question come in, another email. With the near-death experiences, the caller said, why do they only see past relatives when they come back and tell of a near-death experience?
Why do they only see past relatives?
Yeah, relatives that have passed away.
Yeah.
A lot of times, it may be the person most dearest to them subconsciously, where consciously they may not think about his grandfather, but deep down there might be a connection or a link, even a genetic link. Now, a lot of times, it's interesting with the seeing dead relatives, because with some of them, there are signs of spiritual illusions. Although there's a lot to it, but I believe, just like I said earlier, where you have to watch what you see,
Yes.
and it's more with the feeling. There's a way where you can merge into another person, either spiritually or physically, and that's one way you can tell if it's the relatives. But in mine, I saw no human figures. I saw other beings, but not one was human.
Wow.
Celestial beings. And there's some interesting things in the near-death experience. And one thing that the world authorities refused to share with the public was the role of the controller. They called this being the controller. I called it the controlling agent in charge, who roams the corridors of the paranormal realms and is the absolute controller of everything. And the controller exerted so much good control on the experiences that the near-death researchers were reluctant to even check it out because it represented a God figure or the opposite of a God figure. And so we got deep into it with the changes.
Yeah, so there could be a lot of controversy there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, they were afraid, so that's something that the public should have known about, but was never released, so I'll release it.
Oh, that's good to know.
And,
Hopefully.
the interesting thing was that when I checked deeply into the control, and I started doing this in 2002, it led right into the UFO field.
They're all linked, aren't they?
They are.
They are.
This is something you don't hear often in the near-death experience community. You don't hear a lot of talk about extraterrestrial presence, anything like that. And I've read and listened to thousands of accounts, and that is one thing that seems glaringly just not present. Is that strange? Is that a strange thing? They are linked somehow.
They are, you're right. And there was one famous case, Betty Andreasen, in the early 90s.
Okay.
She's one famous case who had a near-death and woke up on a UFO. And that's the same thing that happened.
Ooh, wow. Wow, we'll have to read about that. Betty Andreasen?
Yes, that's from the 90s. She had hers in like the late 60s or early 70s, but they caught on to her in the late 80s. Pretty famous case. And that was... And so I saw that, and I saw that it was related to mine, but with a lot of the near-death experiences, only 1 in 4 can remember anything. And,
So some people
of
have...
those 1 in 4...
They have zero memory.
Yeah, that's we found 7 memory problems associated with the near death that limited their memory, and 1 or 2 were suspicious, but most of them were normal. And so that's something with the breathings that can bring that esoteric memory back. A person can have a dream, get filled with all kinds of information, cosmic information, not remember it, but subconsciously remember it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So the memory is a problem. And
well,
if everyone remembers,
we're going to go to bed tonight, and we're all going to do that wonderful breathing.
No, absolutely. So,
the breathings, that's the most valuable thing
it is.
for
It's
getting
amazing.
into those realms or having psychic powers. That's the fastest way you can have psychic powers.
Okay.
By the dreams.
That's interesting.
By the breathing.
What do you have an opinion on, like, past life regressions? Do you think that that's a healthy thing to do, or do you think that is it beneficial? Do they work, or are people making things up, or what do you think?
Betty Hill, I did a 3-hour documentary on her in 1999 when she was 80.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Is that available, Eugene?
I have to bring it out. It's in the copyright office.
Okay.
The original copy was stolen, but I have a master copy that's in the copyright office. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
The question. What was the question again?
I'm just wondering about if there's any benefit, or if you believe in past life regression, if that's something that you're interested in.
Yeah, Mrs. Hill, she said, because they were examined by the medical psychiatrist, she said, Eugene, don't let anyone ever get inside your head, hypnotize you or anything like
Interesting.
that. I feel that if a person can't recall it on their own, consciously or subconsciously, like through a dream where it bubbles up, then I was kind of reluctant to go with the hypnosis or regression thing. I think that a lot of people who are being regressed, and I say that they were once kings and queens and
yes,
Cleopatra,
yes.
I think a lot of them are remembering the genetic memories of their ancestors.
Right.
And
I think
great-great-grandfathers.
And I totally agree with you that, our conscious mind allows us to remember what we need to remember, and that digging around or letting other people poke around in the subconscious is probably very dangerous. So
yeah.
That is very, very true. And I had, yeah, go ahead.
No, I agree with exactly what you said. I feel it's better for the person to, because you can bring stuff out of yourself if you need to, like you said.
Absolutely. And like you said, in the dream state, things surface symbolically, which probably has far deeper meaning than somebody just delivering information to you. I think symbols tend to have more meaning. So, yeah, I just...
Well, I definitely know that 1 hour is certainly not enough.
Oh, my gosh. Would you come back? Would you come back again, Eugene?
Anytime, yes.
Okay. Well, we so appreciate you coming on the show.
I really enjoyed this. Just to see the look on our faces when we're listening to you.
I know. I know. We could talk for literally hours and hours, but we're going to have to wind this down for the night. Do you guys have any further questions?
No, I just want to thank Eugene so much. And for our listeners,
really appreciate it.
Please, American Mystic Solves Near-Death Riddle.
And now we know how to get in contact, so...
And Eugene, is that available on Amazon, or how is it easy to order online?
Yeah, for the Canadians, because it costs. It'd probably be better to get it from Amazon because it costs more to mail it back and forth from me. You could order from me if you wanted, but Amazon might be more convenient and be less, inexpensive.
Perfect.
And
yes.
then, do you have a website?
I have a website. Okay. It's on the face page link.
Okay,
and,
good. Wonderful.
And you can listen to our show every Thursday night, Bay of Islands Radio.
Yeah, you can listen online.
I will be checking it out.
Live streaming.
Absolutely. Well, there's a lot of interesting things that happens on this island. I'll tell you, there's a lot of just very unique stuff. This is a pretty sacred place. So we just keep collecting stories, and we'll share the best stories that we can. We'll keep going with this. So again, thank you so much.
Oh, and do you
Eugene.
think I could get a copy later on?
Oh my gosh, yes. We can email that to you.
Okay.
We'll send you a copy of the whole show. So then we'll put that link up on our Facebook, Paranormal Newfoundland. We will link all of the connections to you. So again, thanks.
Thank you so much,
Very
Eugene.
much,
This has
Eugene.
been a wonderful, wonderful night.
Thank you, ladies. It was
Thank
good
you.
having me. I mean, thanks for having me.
Oh,
Well, thanks for having me and you and you and you.
Okay, take care of
great.
yourself.
Take care.
Okay, good night.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care.
Well,
Just a fascinating night.
Wow, I love that conversation.
I cannot believe how fast that went by.
I know. Great big thank you to Eugene Braxton. And just phenomenal human being.
I think things were supposed to work out well tonight, guys, because we had to use an iPad and sort of figure out how to contact Eugene after our initial attempt failed. So
Yeah, no, we did good.
thanks to the angels.
All
So
right.
we're going to be going on a bit of a break.
Christmas
next week.
vacation.
Yeah, for next
Yeah.
week, I guess. And
Yeah.
be back.
Yeah, we'll
Not
be
sure
back.
the exact
You know,
date.
yeah.
We'll be on a Thursday night at
Yeah,
7,
we'll be,
so
and we'll put it on our Facebook. It'll
Exactly.
be just after Christmas, I'm sure, because we don't want to be away from this wonderful
we
show.
hope to get some more stories over
That's
the
right.
holidays and maybe
Lot
some
of-
angel stories.
Ooh, I'd
Christmas
like that.
angels.
Christmas angels.
Absolutely. Well, maybe we should try to find some more near-death experience
I
stories.
think so. I
and
think
post
so.
those.
Yeah, my interest is definitely peaked in this now.
Gosh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone.
All right.
Good night.
Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas.
Jenna Bevan Shadow signing out.
Keep your eyes to the skies.